I'll just. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone who's joining the event. Feel free to turn your video off and use the chat. We're also sharing this on Facebook if you want to share the event link. And if you aren't part of our Facebook group yet, please join so you can find more events and resources and other friends to talk about games or tech or anything with. Which is frozen. Okay, I will do the intro. And then Davey, you can read the intro. Or Pao, are you back?
I'm back. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay. You're frozen for a bit. Sure.
Sorry. My Wi-Fi is a little bit shaky, but I think it's good now. All right. I can start? I'll start. Or... Okay. I hope my Wi-Fi doesn't cut out. Let's go. All right. Hi, everyone. So welcome to Develop Tech Talks. So today we're excited to host Jacob Manzana, John Alemany, John Magallanes, and Philip Villaluz for their tech talk on So You Wanna Make Games today. So we started our Student Tech Talk series in the past month to shed more light on the work and journeys of students from all around the country. We hope that in these conversations, we foster community, empower peers, and showcase the breadth of skills and diversity among high school and college students around us. Students are the face of creation and are changing the world every day. And this has been especially exemplified in times of crisis.
Okay, she froze for me. Yeah, I mean, student works are incredible in times of crisis, and we started these to bring
They are some of the
together
first to rise.
casual setting.
Developed as a non-profit based in Manila, accelerating technology and
The struggles.
Should I continue parts?
Wait, Develop is a what's Develop? Develop is a nonprofit based in Manila, accelerating technology and experiences for social good. So, you know, tech is very unequal across the country. So
I'm so sorry.
this Zoom call exemplifies that in some way. So we're here to combat that. But in general, I mean, we do work to uplift student founders and any type of creator working towards social good and social impact. So again, you can learn more about us at develop.org. It's like develop with an H at the end. And join our Facebook group. You just have to answer the question. And we're so excited to host these students today. To do another plug, we're also working on a campaign right now to provide like Filipino students access to tech and Wi-Fi devices that they need for online schooling at nostudentleft.com. You can get more details there on our partners and beneficiaries and how to volunteer. Even if you can't donate monetarily, there's a lot you can do. So we'd love for you to join us there. But yeah, now Davey can introduce the 4 speakers.
So this talk will explore the lives of 4 student game developers and designers and on how they started their journey, what hooked them into the field, and what projects they have done, and many more. If you're interested in game design and game development, this would be a great opportunity to learn and find out what can be expected out there. So, the background for our speakers. First, we have John Erick Alemany, who comes from De La Salle University, studying the Bachelor of Science in Interactive Entertainment, major in Arts and Design Cartoonist. And he's also a design cartoonist for Ang Pahayagang Plaridel, a 2D Animator-in-training, a digital and traditional artist. And other than art, he had a decent programming background. He plays games and study other game-related topics on the side. Our second speaker, John Magallanes, also coming from De La Salle University, majoring in Arts and Design. He is the AVP for Human Resources in Indie, Interactive Entertainment, a game dev organization in De La Salle University. He's really invested in 2D arts and illustrating cute anime girls, and is an aspiring character designer. Another speaker, Jacob Manzano, coming from De La Salle University, majoring in game development. He's an AVP for academics in Indie, the same game development organization in La Salle, a game programming generalist, a hobbyist 3D modeler, and outside of coding, he would occasionally play games, read books, and listen to podcasts. Another speaker, Philip Villaluz, coming from De La Salle University again. He majors in game development. He is also the VP for internals in Indie, and his interests include designing games, digital art, and music. Recently, he's into 3D printed designs and prototyping.
Are those all your speakers? Yeah, we're so excited to hear you guys talk. Feel free to start whenever you're ready.
Oh, do we share our screens?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Very cool. Wow. Wonderful slides, dude. That worked. I'll assume that worked. Okay, it's good. Wow, so you want to make games, huh? You know, so like as they've mentioned, we're all from basically the interactive entertainment bachelor in De La Salle University, and we're all basically interested in the field of game development and game design, particularly John and Jerick here. Jerick being John Erick, being in the arts major, and Jacob and I being parts of the development major, which is kind of the programming part of it. So you might be curious, oh, what do we do? What do we do in school? What do we do like as our hobbies? What do we do in general? We can start off with our friend here, John Magallanes. So what do you do? What do you do?
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up?
Yeah.
So what do we do?
Let's go.
So hi, what's up? It's me, John. John, Erick, and I are both part of the AD course in IET, which is basically the art and design track, because how the course is designed is IET is divided into GD, which is game development for programmers, and AD, which is art and design for artists or game designers. So Jerick and I are both a part of that. And what they teach you in that course is stuff from character design, level design, audio stuff, 3D stuff, and like 3D modeling and stuff. So yeah, it's all the design and art aspects of making a game. But the course just teaches you the basics, but you can become whatever type of game designer artist you want to be. So in the next slide, we have, it's me flexing some 3D models I made last term for a 3D modeling class. This was modeled completely from scratch and textured from scratch as well. There's the one on the left is a hammer that no one knows no one knows that. And then the one on the right is a naginata. So yeah, we started 3D just recently, but it's pretty fun. And the next slide, in the next slide, oh yeah, in the slide over here, this is like these are some art assets I made for a group project, which was basically a board game or a card game. And this was for a game design class. So this focuses more on the design aspect than the 3D stuff. And in the next slide, so this is a character design sheet for a recent subject. So for here, we had to like take a Disney character and reimagine it. This is basically Genie. Next, so then those are like the color palettes. Next, and then yikes, and then this is just some pixel art I did on my own free time. But I have used pixel art to make games with Philip before in the past, and that's it. That's it for what I do. Those are all the medias I cover, but we're still learning. Yeah.
I will continue on to Jerry. Okay. Jerry, talk about what you do in school and in general.
So yeah, continuing what John said a while ago, we had a class basically around character design. Along with character design, we designed settings or backdrops for the story in question. For me, it was Lady and the Tramp in a medieval setting with less dogs and more humans. So you see, there's a cave. The middle one was actually a work I did for Ang Pahayagang Plaridel, and the other ones for that same project. I delve more towards doing backdrops, setting landscapes. It's really my strong suit, I would say. Next slide, please. Again, I am a member of Ang Pahayagang Plaridel, and also I didn't mention it in my introduction. I'm a VP of the VP of Indie for marketing and pubs. So I delve in various styles of animations. These were the ones that I'm really proud of. Okay, thank you. Next. Continuing with what John said, we just recently started learning about 3D, which was a really huge step for me because I promised myself I wouldn't go too deep into it. But because of the course, I really learned to love it and want to learn more. And next slide, please. And yes, like most of us, we started with 2D illustrations. These are ones that I'm really proud of. The one on the left was actually a published work of mine for Ang Pahayagang Plaridel again. And the other one's the same board. It's part of the same board game that me and John worked on during a term of ours. Thank you.
Let's continue on. We can jump on to the game development side of things. We can start off with Jacob. Jacob?
Okay, so hi guys, I'm Jacob, and I, along with Philip, are a part of the. Oh wait, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
We're good.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, well, okay, cool. It's just saying that my internet's unstable, so I'm just kind of scared. But okay, I along with Philip are part of the game development track in. Okay, yeah, cool. I along with Philip are part of the game development track in interactive entertainment for LaSalle. Basically, what we learned there are the basic programming concepts, principles, and theories that would be necessary in order to create your own game. So basically, like from the start of our subjects, we started learning basic concepts like conditional statements, assignments, classes. But as we get further on into the course, we learn more specialized fields of programming like artificial intelligence. We got to make our own computer AI agent to compete in a board game. And then what we're currently doing right now is learning a bunch of engines, and we're learning shader programming. So that's pretty exciting. But outside of school, what I do in regards to game development is that I just play around with a bunch of different engines. I touched on Game Maker once before, Godot, but I really focus my work on Unity. I just been having a lot of fun with just learning the ins and outs of what the engine can provide. And what I do mostly in Unity is just make prototypes of systems of certain different games I've played before, making a level editor, or just working on how to make a robust and modularized RPG system. But Also, alongside that, I sometimes partake in game jams, and the thing that you see on the thing that you see on the screen is a part of a submission that I gave to a jam I participated in a few months ago. If you don't know what a game jam is, it's basically it's an event where it tasks developers to create a game within a certain time limit, but you also have to follow a certain theme. So with the game I made, it's a roguelike, and the theme was Death is a New Beginning. So because I worked alone on this, and the game jam was a 7-day game jam, so I had to make the game within 7 days from scratch. But the game I made is just a roguelike, a simple idea that I can make in 7 days, and it follows a theme. And because I was doing it alone, not only did I have to do the programming, but I also had to do all the art and all the music for it too, which was a very new experience for me. And what you can see on screen here is some of the sprites I did, very simple 8-bit style. I had to grayscale it first in order to allow for color palettes to be made. I learned how to make color palettes through shaders, and yeah, it helped add like a lot to the game. And yeah, next. I also am a hobbyist 3D modeler. Like I started even before game development, I started 3D modeling like around 4 years ago. I started learning how to do Blender from just working on yeah, 3D Frisk, dabbing, yeah.
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 Got you.
I started 3D modeling like 4 years ago, but I've been on and off with it for a while. So I guess you could say like I've done like maybe 1 or 2 years of Blender. But anyway, I just want to say that yeah, I've been working on furniture and weapons, but then I got really interested in character modeling, and I thought, hey, since I've been doing this for around 4 years, then might as well try to go to the next step. And because like the thing is, I don't have an art background. I just want to clarify this. So like for those of you who are interested in art or like 3D modeling and are unsure whether you're able to catch up or to do something well for yourself, I'd like to say like just keep trying. You know, I don't have an art background, and it took me a pretty good while in order to get the grasp of human anatomy and like figure structures, and basically and I started late. I started like around 17 years old, maybe, like in art, but like I still pushed through, and I still wanted to do 3D modeling because I was interested in it, and I was also interested in art. So yeah, this is the result of my progress so far. These are some of the 2 recent things I made. So yeah.
All right, continuing on. Okay, I guess it's time for me to talk about
That's it
what I
for
do.
me.
So yeah, okay. Basically, yeah, being part of the game development track, we do a lot of programming there. So some examples of stuff we've done in class is recreate basic 2D platformers, like arcade 2D platformers. We tried to recreate Donkey Kong. And in here on the right, Jacob mentioned a while ago that we created a AI agent for a board game. Here, this was a Game of Generals, the Filipino-made board game, competitive board game. So basically, we try to create an AI that would fight at least somewhat competently, because it's a bit difficult to have like a severely smart AI agent if you're not that good, particularly in the board game itself. But like to some extent, I think we performed decently well in this project. It went nicely, I would say at least. So continuing on, aside from that, I also do a lot of 2D illustrations. I feel like an artist at heart, even though I took game development. Here's some stuff I've done recently. Very cool. So we just I've only really started around around December, or like December last year, when I got a digital tablet, and so far I think it feels like I've progressed a bit, just decently enough, and I'm glad where I'm at right now. And you know, growth is great. Growth is great, I gotta say. Oh yeah, aside from that, I also make illustrations or art for Pokemon PH. They're like this official,
Yeah.
The official like organization connected to the Pokemon company here in the Philippines. So here's some illustrations and pubs that I've made for competitions that they hold here for BGC. So that's cool. I also recently just joined them back in June during before the semester started. So that was cool. So aside from that, yeah, I also joined a bit of game jams like Jacob did. Jacob already mentioned what a game jam is a while ago. Here was I really thoroughly enjoy 2D platformers, and here's I think this is my first 2D platform I made for a game jam, and I'm a bit satisfied. I did the pixel art animations as well, and it went well. I think I'm happy about it. It's like my first take again, like in a long while, trying to design a lot of levels, and I think the animation went well. But I haven't animated anything in a million years. But I think it went decently in this one, in particular. Oh yeah, and then aside from that, I also recently we've been designing a lot of 3D printed designs. I designed it for my father because we've been designing this filter system that doctors use for operations. So they have it's like an air intake kind of thing so they can use especially nowadays during the quarantine, we're providing a cheaper alternative for a pot R system. That's what they call it. There's one of the locking systems I made for it. It's cool, I swear. So far so good. We've been still prototyping and testing. We're still into testing period, I would say. But so far so good. It's going really well. So continue on from there. All four of us are also part of INDIE, which stands for Initiators for. Yes, words. I forgot the rest of the meaning of the acronym. But yeah, INDIE is basically the game development, game design org in De La Salle University, and we have we hold a lot of.
They're gonna kill you, Philip.
We hold a lot of events there. Like for example, this one. This was one of the biggest game jams we've held so far. This was held back in January, way before the quarantine. Thank God. So we were able to hold it with a lot of people, and it was great. It was really fun. The theme, if I recall correctly, was repair, right? And that was cool.
Repair, yeah.
Repair, yeah. I remembered that at least. I almost forgot, but yeah, that's one of the stuff we held. We held a lot of game jams, and that was cool. And I think this one is from the very first game jam that we held over a year and a half ago, I think, and it was cool as well. It was still grassroots because INDIE is just a very young organization so far. We've been up for 2 years, I think. So that's cool as well. And this was a concept jam, just kind of like a game jam, but you only come up with an idea. So it's a lot shorter. It was an hour long or something, 30 minutes. So we just come up with a cool idea based on a game. And you don't actually create a game. That's cool. So okay, let's continue on. We can rotate back again, starting from John. So why do you do what you do? So
is it
tell
just
me
me
when
or
I should.
Is it just me or is the video feed lit? Oh no! Sorry, I full screened the Facebook live stream.
Ah, there it is.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the latest. Okay.
Such
All
a
right, so
boomer.
okay, we can start off with John. Just tell me when to press the next slide.
Yeah. Go.
You didn't forget about it?
Okay.
No, it's why do I do it? And you know this band, right? So I was trying to go for a joke where it's if someone asks me why do I do it, and then this picture comes up, and then I say, hey, it's because it's fun.
Got him.
For those who don't get the joke, the name of the band is Fun. So he does it because it's fun. Wow.
But yeah, it's
fun, period.
Is there a period?
That's it. It's just fun. Yeah, there's a period. Yeah. But yeah, it's this course, these two courses are courses that really need passion in them. So I mean, naturally you wouldn't be enjoying what you're doing if you didn't have a love for coding or you didn't have a love for art. So that's it. I don't know. It's pretty simple from my end. I do it because I enjoy it. I'm sure my friends here also agree with me. So yeah. Next.
Now for a more in-depth response. No, I'm kidding. Let's go to Erick Alemany.
You still wait, you still didn't define
So-
indie. So.
Yeah, search for it right now. Why I do it? Following what John said, I do it for that Owen Wilson moment. You know, when your friends go,
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
it's such a good feeling to see other people appreciate what hard work you put into your art or into your games. It just makes you go, wow.
Wow.
That's all.
Okay. Alright, let's
Next,
continue.
please.
Let's continue. Oh, do you have okay, now here, let's have Jacob with his response. Why do you do it?
Oh wait,
Yeah.
Okay.
Your turn.
so mine.
And-
Okay. What is happening? So I do it because yeah, it is fun, but I also find the process of game development to be very interesting, and like what sort of systems go into game development and how like the inner workings of those structures work, and like how game logic just works in general. So like I said before, I usually just do a lot of prototyping, and I try to develop systems from games I like in the past, and like some of these are just like examples of things that I did. One of them was for another game jam that we mentioned a while ago. It was the one for the repair. It's the little robot guy on the left side. I was in a team of 6, but on the right one, I was trying to remake a RPG system and just try to make it a bit more flexible for non-programming users to use. And I was trying to make it component-based for, to help artists use it in a project that I was going to make. And that was, just a solo man job for now. But I just like the process of game development. I think that like for me as a developer, like what goes, or like the sort of length that you have to go in order to make these systems work is just interesting to me. And if you like that, then I think you'll like it in the game development track. So yeah.
All right. So continuing, like I guess it's my turn again. So why do I do it? I really enjoy game design, particularly level design. Level design, as in like this, designing puzzles or like platforming sections of the game. Like a good example of this type of stuff you can see in Mario Maker, where you're basically allowed to design any kind of level you want. But so yeah, these are some examples of some levels I designed. But it's a bit hard to understand out of context. But basically, I just from that, like I just really thoroughly enjoy the idea of constructing levels because I like to make like I take joy in like seeing people smile or seeing people enjoy the things enjoy something that I made. So like I think games is a really nice way to be able to do that thing that I thoroughly enjoy as well. And designing levels it just feels so naturally fun to me. And I don't know, maybe so, like I've seen some people say it's like, oh, designing levels feels a bit like so tedious. I don't know. I can't seem to find I can't find myself getting tired of ever designing levels. At least so far, I've only really gotten into this for a few years, but well, we'll see the rest of it as we go on. So as we're continuing again, how did we get into it? I guess if you're interested as well, especially if you're just starting off, like, how I want to get into game development as well, or game design as well, or game art. And so, maybe it would be interesting to see our insights for, what things motivated us into actually entering this track, or entering this course, or entering this it's like somewhat niche field if you think about it. So like we start off again with John Magallanes here, so how we continue. Okay.
So I know it looks like it's just anime, but I swear I have reason. I swear. So I think I started art like pretty late, like junior year in high school. Like I started art in like my junior year in high school because but at the time I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. Like, I was hopping between ideas like becoming a vet, like a veterinarian, or like just becoming like a baker or something. But like basically I didn't have any direction. I didn't have any sense of direction. So I was pretty absorbed into games and anime. And then one anime slash manga that I read, which was Bakuman, which was like it's like an anime about making manga. I don't know. So like that's it. I don't know how to. There's no other way to like. Yeah, it's it's a good anime, but like after watching that, it made me like start scribbling in class. So I started with like really terrible like Overwatch fan art, because like Overwatch was like big. Overwatch was still like a big thing, like 2017. Yeah, I started out with like terrible scribbles, just, like color pencil drawings on my notebooks and stuff. So I got into art, and then a year later, I was gradually getting better, but I still didn't know what I wanted to do specifically for college. And then I watched and then I watched New Game, which is I basically watched it because like, oh, the characters are so cute. But like after watching it, it's like an anime about getting into the game industry, and like seeing how the game industry works. It's like at first it's very disillusioning, since it's like, oh, their work hours are pretty bad, but and then like it doesn't sound as fun. But like halfway into the season, when they showed the main characters like game they were working on being published and everyone was liking it, and like it like stirred a feeling in my heart, and I was like, hey man, I want to be a part of this too. Like I want to experience this. So I got into like I had the sort of like need or like desire to like join something involving games. And then like conveniently my brother, who was already a student at De La Salle, he was like, hey dude, there's this course here that's about making games. So yeah, I didn't. So that's how I found out about the school, and then I applied, and that's how I got here.
Very cool. It's very wholesome of you to say that, man. Okay, let's continuing on. I guess we're also curious to see how Erick feels about how do you get into it, like get into game development and game art. So let's continue.
So next slide, bro.
Yeah.
There you go. So yeah, this is the story how I went into game development per se, not really art. I actually been an artist since I was like 5. I've been making art. I wouldn't call myself an artist when I was 5. It was because of my late uncle, which is one of the best artists I ever met. I still think that wherever he is right now, he's still the best. And I never saw that art could be something I do for a living. You know the stereotypes that you can't make money out of art. Yeah, I used to think like that. So I didn't have a clue what I would do after high school. Really, it's sort of I was that typical Filipino kid that wanted to become an astronaut or an engineer like my father, or I don't know. It's not until De La Salle actually approached my high school and offered a program on computer programming. I believe it was C or C++, I'm not sure. Where it was a summer class that some profs and students from De La Salle would teach us around 5 days on the basics of computer programming. And right there on the lower left, you can see my final output. It's not really impressive to those veterans out there in the field of programming, but it was really a proud moment of mine. After just 5 days of learning the program, I was able to make that. And then it continued on. I entered other classes. Yes, I was more interested in the development side before I enrolled here in the arts side of development. Here are some of my works. Iwag Sumbagay, which roughly translates to Lightbox. It was a report of mine done with a few of my colleagues back in high school. Instead of presenting a PowerPoint, we made a game based on that level again too. That level again, so that we go to the next slide after each level to present our PowerPoint. We didn't really put the words of the PowerPoint inside the game because of time constraints. So it's just a game. And another project of mine was that crude screenshot right there. Next please. So going back to art, Naruto was a really big inspiration for me. It was one of the things that my late uncle and I really bonded upon. So like the teachings that anime really instilled to me was Naruto really worked with what he had. He wasn't really gifted as a child, but he was gifted something. It was being a protagonist, you know. Working what he had, he strived to be the best, and he did. He became Hokage, and that's it. Going back to the game development side, I played Smite during its first season, and they released Janus, the Roman god of portals. It was the first time I think that they released the making of videos where they showed the process in which how the entire process was made for each character, and that really blew my mind. That all these hours, all these manpower for just one character that I play in a game that sometimes you don't even see in game, really solidified my passion for game development. And what really pushed it to its fullest was this GDC talk made by the guys and gals who made Skullgirls, which I had saved on my phone for emergency purposes. It's really amazing that these people created a fighting game, an entire fighting game out of hand-drawn animations. Well, it's digitally, pero gets naman. It just shows that I could do that too. In the GDC, they used Photoshop to animate, which I actually use right now. And I'm not at that level yet, but I'm getting there. Thank you.
All right, let's continue on with Jacob.
So as for me, like both Jarek and John, when I was still in high school, I didn't really have something that I wanted to do. I didn't really have a passion for a lot of things. I did like programming, but it was like what I wanted to do in the future was very mixed. Some days I would want to be an electrician, the others biochemist, lawyer. But like eventually I started thinking, oh yeah, I wanted to do software development. But you may ask, like, what about game development? The reason why I didn't like feel like I want to be a game developer, or like thought I want to be a game developer, was that to be honest, it just didn't cross my mind. Like for me in the past, games were just a relationship between the product and the consumer. Like I would just buy games and I would play that game, and then I would just like all my enjoyment and experiences that come from the game are solely based on what was sold to me, right? I was aware that there are people behind like the development of those games, but I just enjoyed games for what it was, not what it was made for, or like who made them. And I think that's the case like with a lot of people who just see gaming from the outside. But one day I was just browsing, like watching YouTube and playing games because that's what I did all day. And I encountered this documentary called Indie Game the Movie. And, I was like, wow, it has game in the title. video game movie. Wow, that might be interesting. So I decided to give it a watch. I just thought it was just going to be a movie about a game. And so my surprise, it was a documentary that basically documented the events that occurred throughout like these 3 games' development period. So like it would tell the story of like early development to publishing on digital stores about these 3 indie games made by some of these developers. I believe the games were Braid, Super Meat Boy, and Fez. And they just documented their experiences, their struggles, and like like the development processes, like basically how it felt like when they were going to release their game on the Xbox Digital Store for the first time, and then like showing some of their gameplay to like conventions and stuff, and like those sort of like on-hand experiences, like in the moment experiences. And to me, that was very interesting, and like it really stirred something in me that wanted to, or like just found a deeper appreciation in these games, right? So as I became enthralled with the process, I started to learn. I started to try to find more stuff like the content that was shown in the indie game documentary. So there, then like I found some interviews by NoClip, like about like other game developers' experiences with their games, and then I found devlogs too, which talked about basically look through of like the process of developing these games part by part as they're developing. And I just found the process really interesting, and I didn't really know or know yet that that's what I want to do. But then Ubisoft walked in, and because my background, I was actually a LaSallian, like I was a student in LaSalle, the Laguna campus at the time when I was like studying in high school, and out of nowhere, like for me, it was out of nowhere. Ubisoft announced their partnership with DLSU to create academic track for like college, right? And also to set up their studios in the campus. But basically, I was just like, well, that's interesting. And then they had the talk, right? They had to talk about their plans in the campus itself. And I was there, and I was just sitting there, like shocked. And like around me, some people were joking, "Oh, haha, yeah, finally I get to play games in college for for like free grades, right?" And then I was just sitting there enthralled. It was like, oh, you know, like regardless of like, or like yeah, I was just like very amazed. And like at the end of the talk, you know, I was just like, oh, like I threw away my indecisiveness, and I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to make games. I want to be a video game developer. And you know, like 4 years later, like I'm still here. So yeah, it was just very inspiring to me. And I don't think I would be here if like I don't know if I would be here if like the Ubisoft track or like the Ubisoft DLSU partnership didn't happen. And don't get me wrong, like it's not because I'm a Ubisoft fanboy or shill. I like I like their games. Like I've played a lot of like Rayman, and like I played like the third Assassin's Creed and like the first Watch Dogs, and like a lot of other games that they helped publish, like Child of Light, Grow Home, Valiant Heart. But I wasn't really the biggest Ubisoft fan. I just joined because, like, you know, I just realized that this was something worth learning and something that I wanted to do. And I finally threw away my indecisiveness, and I'm sticking with it because it's fun. So yeah, that's me.
Hell yeah. That's an intense story. I like how you wrap it up. It's like, oh yes.
It's my time now.
No. And you had to make sure. It's like, oh, no, I don't like Ubisoft that much. It's like, I swear. Okay. All right, let's continue. I guess. All right, for me. So okay, how did I get into game development? Basically, so it it's kind of really similar to everyone else's story. So like, I don't really quite know what I wanted to do at the time as well. It's like, oh, I wanted to be a physicist or an engineer or something. I don't know. It just seemed like an interesting thing. And then, but like, high school was definitely not the most exciting time for me. I gotta just stayed home a lot aside from like going to class. Like go to class and I went home and I basically discovered playing a lot of indie games, and I don't know, I just thoroughly enjoyed them a lot more, especially coming from like junior high school, like grades 7 to 10. I played a lot of League of Legends, and then towards like grade 11 and 12, I played. I couldn't play something like League of Legends anymore. Just didn't feel right. And then I got more into different types of like better games. That's a bit.
I don't think you can say that.
Basically, I don't know. I wouldn't say it like it feels more like an elite say that, but like I don't know. These games just felt more deliberate to me. They were made to be good rather than like they're made to appeal to people. You know, I just like that idea so much. Like, oh, these things are made to be good, not necessarily to appeal to anyone in particular. That's not to say they're not necessarily made to appeal. Like, they don't take that into account. That's part of game development. But I know they feel like passion projects more than anything, and I really love that idea so much. And it was this game. I just love this game so much. Celeste is a 2D platformer. This game's so good. Every part of this game I love so much, and like every part of it feels right. Every part of it feels so deliberate. And aside from that, like I don't know, I just really got into this game. It was like, and then at the same time, it was like similar to Jacob. Like, oh, I don't know what to do. I like playing games or something, right? Like, oh, these games feel so good. And then around January, when this game came out, like around that time, I forgot when it was, but near that time, that's when they kind of announced, like, oh, we're having this track next year. I was like, oh, I was about to graduate senior high. It's like, oh, okay, I'll take this, whatever, screw it. No, not really, but it was. I got sincerely interested into the idea of this game, and the idea that, oh, I could do this too. I could make stuff like this as well. I could be that person. It's like, oh, I make things because I want them to be good, not because I want them to appeal to people or something like that. I don't know. So I don't know, this game. Like, oh, after finding this game and learning about, oh wait, game development is a thing. And I don't know, I just kind of like delved deep into everything about what this game was and like what everyone's process was into like making the game. Like, okay, I got into the developer live stream, how they basically perfected the platforming physics and mechanics of the game. Oh, that was intense, and I just love how everything felt so deliberate. The music in this game, the level design, the mechanics, it just feels so right, and the story is lovely as well. So aside from that, I was also really into speedrunning, and I was so enamored by the fact like, oh, I could make games particularly about speedrunning to kind of make it, popularize it here in the Philippines. It's not much of a thing, but that would be cool. I love speedrunning. I hope more people do it. If anyone's curious, speedrunning is basically where you clear a game as fast as possible with any means possible, like any natural means. That's cool. Wow. Okay, let's continue going on. Okay, I guess we can just kind of show off what everyone's done so far, so you can kind of see, oh, these guys aren't just here to talk about whatever they want to talk about. It's like, oh, we've had a lot of stuff that we also worked on. And let's start off with John again. Wow, that's cool. What have you, John, the artist, have made so far that you're proud of?
Oh, shoot. Wait, Philip.
Yeah,
Can you exit the presentation and then show it again? I added something just to flex a little bit more.
Okay. Okay.
I'm scared.
I can't show it though.
Oh, come on.
Yeah,
That's so the bottom.
I agree.
Okay.
So these are just like a fraction of the projects we've done in our time in this course. So that's it. On the left, that's just the cover. Like on the left is the cover page for the character design book we made. Because I like remember how I said there was this character design class. So the output of that term was an entire book on your design, like your sketches, your color palettes, your renders, your environmental sketches. So yeah, I wanted to show off the book, but like, I instead just chose to show off the cover for the design. for the design book, and the one on the right, like the one on the top right, is a environmental sketch or environmental render of like a scene I imagined, because like the story the story for the character design book I took was like Aladdin, which is like a Disney story reimagined. So basically, like it was like Aladdin, but he was like a sand pirates a la Prince of Persia, something like that. So like we had to come up with concept arts and sketches for art characters in certain scenes. So the thing you see there on the right, that's a scene where he confronts Jafar. So it's like this throne room boss battle thing. So yeah, I was particularly happy with how the colors and the composition turned out, and the dude running with the cape on is like that's the first ever pixel art asset I made. That's the first ever pixel art asset I made, and it was during the our very first game jam, like the one Philip showed. So Philip, Jacob, and I were like the only ones to attend the like the only ones here to attend the first game jam, and Philip and I were group mates, but at the time we didn't know what to do specifically. So Philip just said, "Hey, you should try pixel art," but I didn't know how to do pixel art. So we have like, do I tell them the jank story?
Yeah.
So like we wanted to do pixel art, but I didn't have any pixel art software. So what we did was, it was really scuffed, where we log into Philip's Steam account on my laptop. I open the software. I go offline on his laptop, and then I sign out with the app still open. So we cheated ourselves into getting a sprite
License.
and then we had like 2 or 3 days to like make the game after that. So on the first night, I still didn't know what to do. So Philip taught me how to use pixel art, because he's been using it for far longer than I have, and it turned out pretty okay. The game wasn't like polished, or it wasn't complete.
Finished.
It wasn't finished. It was so scuffed. It was so scuffed. It was so scuffed. But when we were presenting it, the cutscenes were bosses. Like the cutscenes were moving in the stage. It was so weird. it was really scuffed. But yeah, I'm pretty happy of how that turned out. I learned pretty quickly thanks to a good teacher. Thank you, Philip.
You're welcome.
And the one on the pixel animation on the right is Manananggal. I actually didn't know much about Filipino culture, so like I had to like research for this. But this was a Manananggal for a would be Filipino themed RPG. So like, you know how like what was that game we used as a basis? Legend of Mana.
Yeah.
It's like those like side scroller beat 'em up RPG style anime like RPGs, and
Yeah.
I was recruited to work on the project as the lead artist. So yeah, that's like I made several more. I made like stuff like there was like made stuff of like aswangs, sigbins and stuff like. But this is the one I'm particularly most proud of. Sadly, the game never got finished, and the project died down. Sadly. But you know, like, dude, like I don't know, like that's the story. That's how the story usually goes for games that start out as passion projects. Like if it doesn't go well, it slowly fizzes out and dies. It's so sad. It's sad to hear, but it is what it is. Philip worked with me in that game.
Yeah.
So he knew firsthand. Hey, whoa.
Hey, Johnson.
Man,
Spoilers.
Actually, no.
Oops.
Hey,
What the hell are you doing?
My bad.
Actually,
I moved it back.
Actually, wait. Actually, you know what? No. You can keep going. I wanted to talk about that art, because like I usually post my art every now and then, but like it's NSFW, so I can't show it here. So that's it. I wanted to flex the gold. I wanted to flex the gold in the upvotes, but that's it.
The legend.
That's it. That's
All
it.
right,
That's
let's
it.
continue. Let's continue on with Jerick's proud. Oh wait, works that Jerick's are proud of. Yeah, words. Okay, let's continue.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
It got flagged as innocent.
So yeah, a fun fact about me. I'm actually colorblind. I knew it since I was in elementary, and I didn't really see it as a problem before until one fateful artwork of mine during the seventh grade in high school. We were tasked to draw Manila Bay, sunset, just like this. It's a sunset too. I drew a sunset and I presented it like confidently in front of class, and everyone started laughing. I didn't know I didn't know why they're laughing, and they pointed it out that Erick, the sky is green, and I was like,
Hell yeah.
isn't it isn't green in my eyes.
Artistic
It's-
choice.
It's
come on.
artistic. Yeah. I was gonna
It's
say.
artistic choice.
Yeah.
It was orange for me. Anyways, after that incident, I really stayed away from colors completely. That's why uh, uh I went into editorial cartooning, since most of it is black and white. So it was perfect for me. Slowly but surely, during college, I was like forced to use colors in my works, and because of it was my first time working on but the school publication for LaSalle, Ang Pahayagang Plaridel. My first works there were colored, and it was a really huge step for me as an artist to be more confident in my choices, even though I have this disability. And that's why I chose this work, since it's a sunset, just like the artwork I did that stopped me from making art that's colored. And right now, I'm really confident in my coloring abilities. It's really trial and error for me, since I don't really see what other people see, but I'm getting there. It's either I pay a lot of money to get this treated, or I adapt and work with it. And the one on the right is a parody of the one good scene in Wreck-It Ralph 2, where the Disney princesses meet Penelope, but this time with women in gaming. You know, why I'm proud of this is because during college I didn't really have that much time for personal work. Uh, Most of my works are from orgs or for classes. So there was this one time that we were asked to present our portfolios to Ubisoft, and I noticed that none of these works of mine were originally was for for just drawings. It was for grades or for work. Uh, I wanted something that says that I made it for me. And the only good thing about this quarantine is you had more time for yourself. And this was the one that I worked on. It was originally planned for a art jam that Indie hosted. It was the what was that prompt again, Philip? Disney X video games. The art jam. Yeah, it was Disney X video games, but I was too slow, and it was too big of a project to fit in a 72-hour deadline. So I just finished it, and I'm really proud that I was able to finish it in I would say short amount of time. It took me like 15 days, a day for each woman, and I'm really happy that I was able to finish it. Yeah.
Wait, Jerick, more importantly, was Wreck-It Ralph 2 that bad? I actually haven't watched it. He said it was the only good scene. What the hell, dude?
Was
Yeah.
First one was a lot better.
It was
Let's say
very.
Like how much, like out of 10, how much would you rate it? Because like I'm planning on watching it like sometime during.
I just watch
this
it.
week.
that. Maybe a 3.
Yeah.
The
Really?
first one is like a
That-
6.
Yeah,
First one's like
like-
a 6. You know, it's like
A
This
3 out
scene-
of 10.
This scene saves it, by the way. This scene saves
That was a
it.
fun.
Are you serious? That's the only redeeming scene?
Come
What's
on,
a-
yes.
It's the fun
That
scene,
bad.
and then the rest of the movie was kind of just.
Wait,
you
what's
know,
what's a 10 what's a
eh.
10 Disney Pixar movie to you then? What's your
10? Toy Story.
Oh.
Oh my bad. Keep going. Sorry.
All right, let's continue. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, John,
Yeah.
for postponing Jacob's time to speak. And that was Jacob. Okay,
I'm
let's
so
continue.
sorry. I'm really sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
Okay. So, is it the next slide? Okay, there, I see it. So back to this game. I swear I did more things. But, this is the game that I'm most proud of because I learned the most out of this game from the jam. One, it was the first game that I fully completed by myself in 7 days. So that's something. Like I did all the art, I did all the gameplay, and I did all the audio. Like on a programming side, like I don't think I'm proud of it now. Like I have scripts that have like more than 1,000 lines, like disgusting. But like I've learned a lot through this little game that I made. Like for starters, like to give context, it was a game jam like held like a few months back ago, like Kindred Game Jam, and they were hosting this game jam event, and there was around 100 submissions, like 106 I think, or like 110. I'm not sure, and I got 20th overall, and like that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. I'll take it. But like yeah, as like someone who's really into game design and really into actually just gameplay itself, and like development side of things and making everything fun to play, like I care more about the gameplay ranking I got, and it's like single digits. That's more than enough for me. But surprised also that like I've done music, and like during the game jam, it was like the first time I was doing music also, like creating my own music, and I got 10 out of 100 also for some reason, and like that's something. So I'll take that too. And then like with art, I don't have a strong background, and I got like the same rank as my overall, and yeah, it was nice. But like the rankings, it was just like sort of a like it's like a small thing that just keeps me going. But like the thing I got out of it most of all was the criticisms and comments that people gave me. A lot of them had like a lot of like good insight that I can gauge on like what I should do better next time, and like how I should or like what people want to see from like these sorts of games. Even though some of them like I wouldn't really take every single criticism or like listen to the feedback I got 100%. Like if that's a thing, like suggestions, because I still like want to put my own spin to it, or like try to trust my gut on what I feel are right like game design decisions. Like they're like the feedback is really appreciated, and like the comments are what helps me keep going, because I don't really publish a lot of things. Like I said, I just do a lot of prototypes of like systems that I just do in the past. But like this was the first thing I published on the internet, like period. Oh wait, no, I had like a little Stickman game on Newgrounds like maybe so many years ago, but I don't remember the count. But like this is the first one that I've done like in a long time, and there were a lot of good comments and good feedback, and a lot of like negative criticism. But like I take it all in. I like take it all into like a thought pile, organize like what I think I did right, what I think people got on the money, like where I could improve and stuff like that. And yeah, it was a really good experience. It was a very big learning experience. And like another thing that I learned, like although like yeah, like it's something that's obvious, but like it's the way you present your game on like or like you advertise or market the game, because like this was posted on like itch.io. It's basically a sort of it's a basically a digital platform that distributes games for more independent creators. And when I submitted this game, like it was literally like maybe a minute before like the deadline of like submission, and I was just panicking. So like I didn't really do anything with like the I didn't really do anything with the like with like the page itself, but yeah, so like it was like very generic, very blank, and like the thumbnail, like which is like the top left thing you see, it's very bland. There's nothing really going on. There's nothing really going on there. It's like a lot of empty space. And then like the thing I've learned the most is that like titles are also really important, because like to be honest, this game was like supposed to be a parody of like isekai in general, like light novels, and like how their titles are so long. But like I didn't have time to like integrate that sort of aspect to the game. So like the only thing that like is parodying the isekai genre itself is like it's a roguelike and like the title itself. But because of that, people didn't really appreciate it. And like when you see it in like the itch.io page, it's just like a long string of words. So it's like nobody has time to read that. Nobody's gonna want to read that. And like I realized that like day 3, because nobody was voting for my game, nobody was rating my game. It was like, oh no, this was a disaster. But yeah, like I just sort of like, you know, sucked it all in. It's like, well, this is a learning experience. It doesn't matter. And then I just started playing other people's games, and then I sort of commented on them, like what I thought. And then people sort of saw that, like that was commenting, and then I was like, whoa, hey, thanks for the good comments. And then like they go to my game, and I was like, well, people do that? A follow for a follow? Like, yeah, like then they started like playing my game, and then like it started getting, what you call it? And then like more people came in, and then it became like part of like the popular tab for like the game jam page at least. And yeah, that was a thing. I ended up with 21. I'm pretty proud of that. And yeah, that was it. I've learned a lot from this, and I've made more stuff since. And yeah, that's my thing. Oh yeah, this game is also really hard, so that's the main criticism I got. Like it's impossibly hard. and yeah. I can send the link here. So, I saw somebody ask, so sure, why not?
Okay.
More criticism. I'll take it. But yeah, that's my only thing that I have in my itch.io page. But I'm working on some other solo things, so yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
All right. I guess let's continue on. Okay, these are some also some game jam submissions. We had particularly the one on the right was the one in January where I worked with John and Erick. It was a simple game. It was cool. It was cool because we didn't expect that we would win the award for like the diversifier. Diversifier is like special awards that they give if you satisfy certain criteria, and the diversifier was eco-friendly, and it was cool because basically this game is kind of like you try to save the Earth by taking resources from other planets. So it's eco-friendly to our Earth, but not any other Earth. But it's fine. It's fine. That's not a problem. So if we continue, yeah, I already showed this game a while ago. The one I also told about this, but this one was game jam that Jacob and I hosted just a month ago, back in June. It was a 3-week-long game jam, if I recall correctly. It was cool. Sadly, Jacob wasn't able to submit. I really wanted to play his game, but maybe I'll see it in the future. So yeah, basically, I was really happy, like with that game. Like
yeah, I was like so close. I was so close.
I mean, you can still make it. So we'll see. We'll see that soon. All right, continuing. Aside from that, like
yeah. I'll remake it. Don't you worry. I'm gonna remake a lot of stuff.
I'll see that, man. Alright, aside from that, like I feel like these artworks I'm really happy about as well, because I don't know, I felt like I learned a lot trying to make these things. Like I made the one on the right first, because I didn't really understand a lot of like ideas of coloring for depth at the time yet. So it felt like it's a bit flat, but I was really happy with how I did like the pose and everything. It was cool. I tried to study, and it was cool. Like like anatomy study or stuff like that. It was nice. I was really happy with that. It was a cool one. And then the one on the left was for an art jam we had in, Erick mentioned art jams a while ago. I also host art jams for indie there, where we create like an artwork based on a certain theme. So it was cool. This one was about Philippine mythology, and this is supposed to be like the Bakunawa, like how it eats the moon. Don't mind how the moon is unrendered, it's just a white circle. But I was really happy with how this turned out, like the lighting and those scales took me a million years, but I was happy with how it went down. So, like, oh yeah, continuing. So I guess that's kind of the end of the slides. If continuing, we can kind of continue like, how everyone wanted to give like a piece of advice to anyone listening there. Okay, maybe start with John again. Like, what kind of advice do you have personally?
Just advice?
Yeah.
I don't have anything too profound or too deep to give. I guess just like this might be for like more into artists and developers. I guess just practice. Like, just practice on your own time. I mean, like, because the course just teaches you the basics. So like, it's like a one and done thing. Like how the course is designed. So like, you learn this, and then after that, you move on to like another thing. So, for example, like last term we had like a character design class. Then that's it, and then we jumped to 3D. And then after jumping 3D, we jumped to like rigging and animation. So like, it's like you might feel like it's too fast. You might. I don't know. I don't think this applies to everyone, but if you do feel like it's too fast, I guess practice in your own time, because like it's just gonna keep scaling up. Like the difficulty is just gonna like increasingly scale, in which like you're gonna have too many skills to learn, but not too much time to master. Like that, I guess that's the issue. And it goes without saying, like, we should practice on our own time, especially if it's like art or something skill related, like developing a game. But yeah, that's it. As much as I agree with people saying take your time learning, this course is only 4 years long, which at a first glance may seem long, but not really. I don't know. It's like in the blink of an eye, bam. We're like almost in the end of our second year. Yeah. So like, if you take that time for granted, like you can always say, how many people are in our course? Currently there's 8 artists, just 8, and then in Manila.
Yeah.
In Manila.
Yeah.
In Manila. So I guess in total, and then in Laguna and our batch, there's like, what, like 9
There's
or 10?
a bit more. There's more. Yeah.
9 or 10, just by like 1 or 2. So like there's like 17 or 18 of us.
This is for our year, by the way.
For our batch. But there's a lot. We have a ton of juniors. We have so many juniors.
Yeah.
That fortunately haven't shifted out yet. Yeah. As for the GD, you guys have like what, 11? 10 or 11?
10.
We had 10.
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
So the ratio is pretty like almost similar, but the ratio was much worse back then. Like the ratio for developers to artists in our first year was like 1 to 2, like almost 1 to 2, right?
Yeah.
There's
a lot more developers.
But yeah, anyways, 4 years, and those 4 years aren't even gonna be. I don't know, like I'm just gonna go ahead and say, spend your 4 years wisely, or else you're gonna like lose track of time, and in the blink of an eye, you're gonna graduate without learning anything by yourself. So yeah, as much as you guys want to take your own time, please practice and try to master the things you learn on your own time. Yeah, that's it.
All right. How about you, Jared? What any pieces of advice you want to provide for our viewers right now?
Maybe one thing is that after college, in the like what you call real world, in the field, it's really a competition on who gets this job on, and who gets to what studio or what company, and it's really stressful, but you can't avoid that during that time. The moment in time where you could avoid this competition mentality is now during college. You may see your classmates really progressing more than you, um, and you can't avoid that sometimes. I personally am the slowest one in our whole batch when it comes to finishing work. Do you agree, John?
This guy is humble, but like he as slow as he is, he actually gives out like the highest quality outputs.
Oh, that's too kind of you.
Also, I hate you. Also, I hate you, and I hate you, and I hope you die.
Come on.
So, anyways, as what John said, it's up to you to.
No. It begins.
It's up to you to like. What I was saying was, it's up to you to work on yourself. So, like what I've showcased a while ago, I worked on how fast I work. Um, that Disney Princess thing I did took me 15 days to like render each one. I would say it's pretty fast. I rendered every single one of those, like pretty detailed. Like each one could stand on its own. When you zoom it in, you can like I presented it on my Instagram like individually as I progressed through, and yeah, it's on you. It's on you how you manage it, and yeah. But remember that you can't always push yourself to. There's a point in time where you would say it's too much, where you'll notice fatigue or really burnout from working too much. Make sure you find time for yourself and find time to sometimes relax. But remember, like what John said, it's just a 4-year course, and you need to learn something during those 4 years to give you an edge outside of college. And one more thing that I would like to point out, if people are calling you childish or isip bata, as they call it, don't tawag dito, don't take it as an insult, take it as a compliment. Since I entered this course, and when people ask me, what's your course? Game art and design. So you play a lot. Yes, we all play a lot. That's why we're here. That's why we're doing this. You can't, the adult imagination's too, what you call
Narrow?
it?
Narrow? Is that what
Narrow. Pwede na. Unlike how children think of things that they don't even know what's the meaning of. The games that such as the indie games that Philip showed us were like products of really good imagination. Unlike these AAA games that might, yes, they sell a lot, but it's just rehashing ideas that they come up with during younger years, and being thinking more outside the box is I think is a really good tool to have as a game developer. Thank you.
Oh, okay. How about you, Jacob? What kind of advice would you give to everyone?
Okay. So some of my advice, I have a couple. Okay. So like the first one I have is Google will be your best friend here. Okay. When people say like in like our sphere of like in our batch, there's just gonna be a lot of people say, you know, like when you ask questions, and then there's gonna be people that tell you, oh, just Google it, you know. And although it may seem insensitive or harsh when people just say, you know, Google it, you know, it may come off as like you don't really have time to like explain. Like you don't have, like, it's not worth enough time to explain it to you. It's just that like when we say Google it, it's because like there are so many different ways on how to approach a certain problem, and there are going to be so many different people that have different methods of learning, right? For me, I'm a visual learner. I learn more like just like by example than like rather reading theories about textbooks and stuff. And like in school, like the other said, yeah, they're going to teach you the baseline of what you need to know in order to make a game, right? But they're going to be teaching it to you based on how like they or like their preferred teaching method or like their preferred like way to look at like how to make systems. But there isn't just like one way how to make like a game manager example or like a player controller. There are like so many different ways out there in order to implement a system like that, and there are so many different ways out there to do art, like in 3D modeling. You can either box model it, just like keep extruding faces, or like you can sculpt it and then just like make it low poly and stuff like that in order to save polygons. And there are so many different ways to do it. And when we say Google, I mean, like, yeah, it really does mean you should try to search it for yourself, because you are going to know how effective a method is going to be for you, because there are so many out there, and just try to pick one you understand. So if you don't understand anything, try Googling it, or you can just ask somebody, hey, what do you do? Like, how would you approach this problem? And another thing about, like, another advice I would give, let's talk about passion projects real quick, because I know like the feeling and like the thought of like developing your dream game, right? That sounds like it's very seductive, right? Like, you know, it's very much like the end goal for me to make a game that I would enjoy as a child. Like for me, my hopes in entering this field is to make a game that would capture the magic that I once had when playing games when I was young, like when I was a child, and hopefully I'll be able to make that somewhere in the future when I'm skilled enough. The reason why, although my sort of philosophies of like what makes games fun are very simple, I really like arcade games, but like even though that would be very quick to make, I'm still scared of pursuing it, because there's a lot of things that have to go into account for making your dream game. Like the obvious answer to that, like why you shouldn't make your dream game is, oh yeah, because you probably wouldn't have manpower or skill in order to create a game that's according to your vision. And yeah, that is a viable answer, that's valid. But like hypothetically, you could like work on your game or your dream game for more than 10 or 20 years, no matter how long it takes. Even if you don't know anything, you can like research on like the stuff that you need to know and like get all the skills that you need to learn. And it's like, okay, like basically learn like what you need to do like bit by bit, and then program it, and then learn again, program it, and then like no matter how long it takes, and then like you could technically make your dream game. But I think the problem here is the fact that it's not about where your skill level is at so far. It's about how far your skills can take you, or how fast your skills can allow you to progress through your game project before you get burned out from it. Because game development, there's a very big burnout problem. If you work on a game project and there are so many bugs because you don't really know how to tackle the problem yet, because you don't really know how many, you don't really know what sort of systems or sort of data structures or functions or sort of helper classes that you would need in order to tackle a problem or system like that. It would take you a lot longer to try to develop that system, and then there's going to be a lot of bugs along the way, and then you're just going to get frustrated, and then it's going to take a lot longer for you to finally see like the fruit of your progress. And yeah, technically you can keep going at it and eventually you'll be able to make a game, but there's a lot of like sort of mental stress and mental gain from it. So like, yeah, you can keep going at it, but there's going to be a point where you're not going to be able to enjoy it anymore. Like the game ideas you have are going to be so muddled because you are able to see the kinks and holes from your systems and like your game ideas, and it's going to be like, oh no, what do I do? And then like it's going to go into a point where you don't enjoy making your project anymore. like at least that's how I see it. Like it really depends on like an individual case by case basis. But to me, like game development or like making a game is more about the race against burnout rather than a race against like publishing like a finished product, right? But like in the video game industry, if you're going to go into a company, yeah, you're going to be forced to finish the game no matter how you feel about it. But like this is for the people that want to make their dream games and like are independent from a company. I suggest that like the reason why like there's a lot of warnings about like trying to make your dream project when you're starting off. It's not because like it's not wholly because like you might not have the skill level in order to achieve a game that you would be able to exact in your vision. It's more of a problem that like we are concerned that you are going to be able that you won't be able to finish a lot of the progress in time or like the project in time before you get tired of the idea. And if you get tired of the idea becomes very spoiled, very tainted, and you might not like the idea anymore and it just gets thrown away. And that's sad because, you know, it's a very passion-based thing. So we just don't want you to lose your passion, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so like learn, practice, just like what I would suggest is what I'm doing. Like if you have a dream game in mind, right? Like I would suggest taking parts and concepts that you think that you would need in your game. Like let's say you want to make this RPG, this very lengthy RPG, right? Then start to make little simple prototypes and systems about it that revolves around RPGs. Like maybe make a small game about that revolves only around like an inventory system or like inventory management. So you're able to fully master like what sort of systems that you would need in order to make a inventory system from scratch, and then maybe try to make another game about like management or like party management or something. Just like make simple small games about like parts of your game that you might think you'll need, and it would probably and then you'll learn that way, and then you can probably gain more ideas for your passion projects through that, and it can be very inspiring. So yeah, although I just want to say though that there's nothing wrong going into the game industry wanting to make your dream game. Like that's just it's a very like, you know, it's a really influencing and like very seductive idea to, you know, enter an industry of arts, make the game that you want to make, right? But and like also to the people that think, oh, like we've been making a lot of comments that say, oh, you need the passion, there's so much skill involved. But I just want to say that you can try like just try to like dive into it a little, just like see where it takes you, where game development takes you. Like I said before, I started art really late and I started music really late too. But like if you think you can catch up like very like fast or very quickly, or if you like enjoy it at all, then like there's no problems with like just, you know, diving into it a little and see where it takes you. There's some people in our course that were from the game development branch that shifted into normal CCS courses after like a few terms, and
Yeah.
like the thing is like with that like they got to try their hand at it, and like with the course itself, like at least for the programming side, it teaches a lot of basic programming concepts, except like it uses games as an application in order to teach it. Like it uses problems from gaming in order to solve or like show how these programming concepts work, right? So I'm just saying, like, you could try to enroll into this course if you want to, and then if you don't feel like it's worth it, then you can shift to like more just like if you're into like computer science in general, you can shift to more game development or like not game development, sorry, more general CCS courses, because from what I know, the shifties transition pretty well, and like the courses or like the subjects they teach are pretty similar. So yeah, just try your hand at it. Don't be hasty with your passion project. Try to learn a little bit of skills if you really want to get into the game development industry, or just like want to do it for self-satisfaction. And then Google is your best friend. So yeah, that's all for me.
That was really in depth. Damn. Okay, that's a lot of advice. That was really good advice. Aside from that, maybe like if ever I do have some advice, like Jacob already kind of mentioned it, but if like his game development and game design is a very like broad kind of field, like it's very interdisciplinary. I guess that's the word. That's what would really describe game development. If you're into art, 2D art, 3D art, you can work on game development. If you're into writing, character writing, story writing, any kind of writing, you can get into game development. If you're into programming or like any type of programming, you can get into game development. So I basically like if it was also like maybe like Jacob kind of like gave advice for if you want to be like a generalist or like a full stack developer, that kind of thing. But I think I don't know. I would say like if ever you want to just start off and you want to be like enter into the niche of game development, you try to jump in. Just choose something that you thoroughly enjoy. Maybe something you already like. You're already good at to begin with. You can jump into it. Oh, okay. Like for example, 3D development for animation, 3D development for movies is very different from 3D development in games. So maybe something like, oh, if you want to jump into games, you can translate what you're already like good at and try to translate it into games. And I don't know, aside from that, like jumping into something, because like the interdisciplinary thing is kind of like a double-edged sword as well. If you don't have like a specific hobby beforehand, if you don't know what you want to do at first, and you kind of start off with something that doesn't really click with you, you kind of lose your passion with that before finding what your passion is beforehand, and that kind of sucks. And I think if ever Jacob gave good advice that if you want to jump into like game development, you can try recreating things that you already enjoy, like from other games, and I think that would help a bit. It's like, oh, that's how they did something. Oh, that's how they did this special mechanic in the certain game. Oh, I tried doing that a lot with Celeste, but I didn't get as polished as I wanted to be. I wanted it to be at the time, but dude, it was amazing trying to replicate some of the mechanics, some of the things, like some of the subtleties that they actually added into the developments that other people have made beforehand. Like Jacob really went in depth there. So I guess like that's just like a little take out of there. Like that was some sick advice. So yeah, I think that's kind of the end of like our general like thing there.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for such an in-depth talk and for talking about your journeys and inspirations and influences in your work. It was super cool to see. I'm sure we were all inspired. Do you still have time for questions? Because I know we're over time, but there are a few here.
Yeah.
Up to you guys. We're fine to take questions.
Okay, sure. Yeah, thank you for taking time for this on your Saturday night. Thank you so much again. That was such a great talk. We can start with one of the most common questions we've been getting, which is essentially about your game engines and tools. What is the best starter game making software? How do you set them up? Do you need good computer requirements for that?
Oh, first off, you don't need a good computer. You definitely do not need a good computer to start off game development. As long as you have something all right, like even if like it's a laptop from like 2010 or something earlier, you can definitely make games. People made games with like freaking like they've been making games since like the freaking 80s or 70s. You can definitely make a lot of games with a lot of stuff.
And like to be honest, also like I think, in my opinion, it would be pretty preferred if you're like going into it like individually or like independently to have like a low end device, because you're able to create games that are able to run on these low end devices. So if you don't really have a good computer, like then if you make a game that runs well with it, then it can reach a lot more people than like if you were testing it in a high end device and then you're like, well, I hope this works on like, you know, a potato computer. So you don't. Yeah.
Aside from that, the question about the game engines, I think it depends on what you want to get in, like what type of game development you want to get into. Like generally, something like Unity is it's a bit daunting at first. Like there's a lot of like when you want to learn the interface in the beginning, especially if you have no experience beforehand. Like otherwise, like aside from Unity, maybe if you want to learn 2D, like 2D development, something like Game Maker or Godot. A lot of people say. I don't really have experience with Game Maker or Godot myself. How about you, Jacob? You've used both, right? What would you say? Like,
Yeah. Okay, so I started off with Game Maker, and that was like a lot of what I've learned. But like the thing is that Game Maker is paid, so but like it's a very like good 2D like 2D engine that you can start that like really has like a lot of there's a lot of successful games that were made in Game Maker, and like it really shows because like the engine itself is really flexible. If you just want to like test things out, then I really suggest Unity, because although it's daunting at first, there's a lot of tutorials online. It's one of the most heavily documented engines out there, and it has a really good compatibility for both 2D and 3D games. And also the thing is that they also have visual scripting. So if you don't really, if you aren't really good with code, or you don't really know what to do with code, then there's this specific mode. I haven't tried it, but like there's like visual blocks that you can use to create like it's basically like drag and drop behaviors and then like attach them to objects, and then they will move depending on like what you do. It's a much simpler version to programming, and it's more user friendly. And if you're starting off, I would recommend Unity. For me, however, if you're going into 3D, I would suggest Unity and Unreal. For 2D, I would suggest Godot, actually, because looking into it more, I'm seeing that Godot has a really streamlined and really good 2D engine like system. It can handle a lot of really good 2D games, and like the systems that it has for it, and like the tools that it has, they're very user friendly as well. And it's also open source, so if you want to distribute your games,
right,
and you market it, they don't get a cut. So unlike Unity, they don't take your money if you take it up. But hey, I'm just saying facts. I'm a Unity guy myself. I like to make games in Unity, but I'm just saying that if they don't take that 30% from me, that's pretty cool. But I haven't really marketed it like paid games yet, so I don't really have a say in it. But I'm just saying, like, I think if you want to get into it, if you're new to it, Unity is the best shot. If you're looking for 3D, Unity, Unreal. If you're looking for 2D, Godot. If you want to learn visual scripting and blocks, I know like some people might like be against this, but I think Scratch is okay. I think Construct is also good too.
Stencil?
Yeah, something like Stencil also. I think it like does the job, and I think it's good. But like to me as a programmer, I think if you just learn programming, I don't know. Like for me, it was kind of easy to learn. Like if you're okay with like learning and like if you think you're good with logic problems, or like maybe just like treat programming as like a sort of puzzle game, right? Just like, how do I make this work, right? If you like puzzle games, you'll enjoy coding, I think. That's just my opinion.
Oh.
All right, yeah, that's great.
Anyway, yeah.
Basically, Jacob said, use Unity.
Yeah.
Thank you,
How do we
Jacob.
answer that yonder the question?
Probably we should talk about that.
Advice: if you have a passion project, wait until you're good at it first before you start your game.
Yeah.
For those without context, you guys should watch the video where someone just goes through his code. It was really good.
Yeah, exactly. It's very interesting. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
There's this question. What career path do you envision after college? Would you join any local game studios? And if so, which ones?
I can take this. We can all take turns. For career path, me specifically, I guess, like since I want to be a character designer, if games don't work out well, I can always just turn to like freelance art or join any other industries that do make use of art. because like I think Philip said this already with his advice. Like the stuff you learn for game development can be applied almost anywhere, since like you said, like the skills that the skills required to make a game are pretty interdisciplinary. So, you know, if you don't if your game art career doesn't really work out, you can always just go just art in general. Like for example, our prof that teaches us 3D, like she doesn't make games, but she's worked for companies that she's worked for studios that make movies on like 3D animation and stuff. So she still has a lot to teach us. So I guess in general, game development courses, like the career paths for those, the final career paths for those are pretty flexible. As long as you don't go too specific, like you don't try to learn one thing like straight ahead. It's very flexible. But yeah, you know, I personally I wouldn't join. Well, actually, any local game studios. I guess, but I guess the first thing I recommend, not this is just recommended, not like this is 100% true or correct. I guess for your first job, I guess go for like a safe choice, if that makes sense. Because if you do want to break out and go indie eventually, I guess you should have some footing on like how, like you should, I guess you should just learn how it works first. Because the people that do make passion projects, like the people, like those people just take shots in the dark. Like what game was that again? Cuphead? Dude, like the siblings that like came up with Cuphead quit their jobs and like sold almost every asset they had in their possession just to make Cuphead. And it worked out well, which is great, good for them, but
but that's like,
you know, that's not always how it's
that's like one
out.
in a million.
Yes, it's 1 in a million. So if you do want to go indie or join a local studio first, I guess get some experience. Yeah, be smart about it. Yeah, be smart. Yeah, that's it. What about you guys?
It's my turn. Personally, why not dream big? I really want my own studio actually. And you know, before I get to that, but you know, before you get to that, you know, you need experience. Like what John said, enter the field before you go indie, because you know, just like the Cuphead guys, or like a Minecraft or other indie games that really popped off. It's not that thing that happens. It might not happen to you. It might fail really hard. So might as well be safe about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, like going back on the dream thing, it's okay to have a dream.
Okay.
Don't say that.
Say that. We just need to make sure.
Yeah, like
Dreams are the
I'm
only
really
thing free
like
nowadays.
I'm very scared that the takeaway people might take is that it's very intimidating. No, please, no.
Me too.
It's okay to have a dream. We're just saying, I guess maybe think it through more. But like, cause like there's like the way I see it, there's like two types of people like that, like who have dreams. It's like ones that can just keep looking up without like looking at their surroundings, and in the end they just get swallowed up by the reality of the whole thing before they even get to realize their dreams. And then the other, it's like people have a good grasp of what's going on, and they take steps, like they take their steps one by one, but they don't have a big picture of what they're going. It's okay to have a dream, I guess. If you do have a dream, work with someone. You know, you're never alone, especially in the game industry. Please, don't be scared. I'm really sorry. We've been talking some scary stuff. We've been bringing up some scary stuff. But yeah, that's it.
All right, how about you, Jacob? What's your plan?
Okay.
How about you,
So as for me, my dream. Oh boy. Okay. So like I said, like the end game for me. I mean, I don't want to say the end game. I'll still make games if I like reach the goal. But like, my
Are you
my
gonna die
goal
after
right
this?
now is to
Gonna get Thanos stabbed.
my legacy has been built. My time in this world is done. No, like my goal, my goal when I went to go into the game industry was to make a game that captures the magic of games that I like really enjoyed when I was a child, right? And I want to make games like that. But like also for the fact that like throughout the years it's changed more for me. I've been really more into the community behind game development lately rather than like playing games itself, if it makes sense. Like although I really enjoy playing games, like I just find the stories of other people's um, like development processes interesting. So I would like to like for me like maybe at first I join a local game company. I just want to see how it pans out. I just want to see like what sort of principles and sort of like management systems go on in there. Just take a little bit of knowledge. Maybe pull a Ben Bro, leave the company, take some people. But no. Like but my
That's
but
so
like
big brain.
but like the thing that I want to do is that either I want to make a game that I would enjoy and that I want to make myself, and hopefully have some people that share like a like-minded vision, or if I don't, I want to keep learning and growing, and then like maybe also because the thing is that yeah, I want to make a game that I want to make, but as someone who is very enthralled by the game development community, I also want to help people make their dream games too. So the thing is that with the game development community, it's not just like these local companies that you can rely on. Like they're there, right? They're there, and like they're not the only thing there, right? There's also like a lot of online communities that are built over the internet, and like gaming is such a digital thing, and there's like a lot of like different people looking for other different types of people that have like a skill set too. So it can not only just be local, but like you can have like a let's say like a team formed online, like from people like in different countries, and like you can collaborate over something like that. And like if somebody takes me under their wing, you know, I want to see where it goes. If they're passionate about it, yeah, it's fun. I like passion. I like passionate games. Like yeah, but like as I am right now, I'm still trying to learn everything. I'm still trying to get better at programming and coding. Not programming just for myself, but like for others too. You know, making my code readable and like making it organized, and like creating software and tools that like tools that allow other people from like different roles to be able to intuitively do what they want to do. So yeah, as a programmer, I either want to like I see myself in the future either making the game I want to make eventually, or helping people make the games they want to make eventually. And yeah, that's it. Open source king, I agree. Okay, that's all.
Thank you for
Guys.
that.
Alright.
There's a question about where we can follow your games.
That's what I'm like. No, kidding.
We get
What?
to plug our things now.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, please do that. I mean, you
Okay.
basically showed everything, so dropping links would be nice, and we can share it in the.
Hell
You
yeah.
can just check in the chat for a quick second. Though.
Well, wait, Derek. Well, what the hell do we share? Do we just share our Instagrams?
Yeah, we share
Yeah,
Instagram.
share wherever you post your work, I guess. And if anyone
guys-
else here makes games or art, let's all plug our stuff.
Hell yeah. Dude.
Yeah.
I'm gonna reach 69 followers
If you have
tonight.
something, I want to talk to more people about game development, man.
True. Hard true.
Yeah.
What are the like
Easy
Philippine
networking,
game
let's go.
development communities outside of like indie? Because I know that's like for DLSU people, but do you guys like get involved anywhere else?
Well,
Do
I
we
know
get
some.
involved with
Oh.
guild, like from New York?
Oh,
Or are we
somewhat.
trying to do
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
So that's also still a sell.
Yeah, technically.
Yeah.
Like, outside from, like, school,
Yo,
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure stuff like I'm pretty sure Ateneo and Mapua have like game development related courses as well. And aside school, I know some people that made the game, like worked on the game Bayani. If you guys are familiar with that.
Oh, the
The
fighting game?
fighting game, the Filipino fighting game. That was cool. Oh, I just know. I played Smash with them that one time. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
But yeah, yeah, it was
Well,
cool. I played Smash with. I got destroyed, but it's fine. Ooh, a micro game. Sick. Play those.
I'm opening that up right now.
All right, just drop your links down there, John and Jerry.
Okay.
How the hell do you share an Instagram account?
Just type your.
Just get your link.
I'm such a boomer, dude.
I can send it.
Yeah,
Can
can you send it for me? I'm such a boomer, dude.
What's your name on Instagram? I found it.
Should we answer some questions right now as well? Like, I see a lot.
All right.
Like,
What would you advise to anyone looking to go into game design, especially since it's not the most conventional or socially acclaimed career choice? Is taking it as a college course worth it, or would learning independently be enough?
For game design, like game design is like a very fields-based thing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know, if you like, aside from playing a lot of games, like thinking a lot about how a game is made. Like, for example, like analyzing, for example, so last which I did a lot, I kind of analyzed a lot of the levels there, how it felt very. It's kind of like you know how a lot of artists do studies, like with anatomy, stuff like that. I don't know. That's how I tried to study level, like game design. I love game design. Like, I don't know. That's how I would do it personally. But like Erick and John here, they had like deliberate game design courses. So
yeah, like for game design, well, not just game design, but the way I see it, it's like you don't really need a college degree to get into the game industry. Does that sound bad? Is that a bad thing?
I mean, that's true for a lot of things. So
that's true for these people have been like pumping out games left and right without without ever requiring a game, like a degree in like game development or game design. I guess the point of these courses, the way these courses are designed, it's just they teach you one way of looking at things and one way of learning. Because there's like no wrong or right way to like learn how to make games or like get into the game industry. So I guess the point of game development and game design courses are just to help illustrate what you can do to get into it. And whether or not it's worth it, I can't really answer that. I don't know. What about you guys?
I think it depends. Like, so for some people, like it's definitely
it really depends on how. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
But what?
Oh, me or?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, okay. It really depends on like how seriously you think that this will be something that you want to pursue in the future, right? Because like game design, it really is like it's a very broad thing. Like everybody has their own takes on like what's good game design. It really is like basically what is your preference when you're playing a video game, right? What do you see is like important when making video games? I'm talking about game design specifically, and for me, I think like it really depends on like how interested you're in, because I think if you put all your eggs in like one basket and then like you're not really sure if you want to do game design exactly, since it is so big, and like take a course on it for college, let's say, then it could, I don't know, for me, like I like to take things like cautiously, like I want to make sure that I know what I'm doing before like I do something. But if like I would suggest like if you made games in the past, or like if you want to make games and then like you start like experimenting around and you think that the idea of game design is worth pursuing, then like go for it. That is such a very vague answer. But like it's kind of true.
Who knows?
Yeah, like game theory and game design, like in like our IE theory, like our interactive entertainment like theory class, and like what people think like game design is, like it's a very, like when I went to that class, I thought it was gonna be a little different from what I was expecting, but it was very, very theory based, like goes back into the past, like with some like sort of philosophers and like sort of theories on psychology and like what would drag people in. And yeah, there are articles and like game examples in it, but it's a very, very research heavy subject. But like with game design, I think if it's game design purely that you're interested in, I think that since it's so preference based, I would suggest learning it on the side, because it's truly just like understanding either what you want in a game or what people would want in a game. And like it really depends on like what priorities you have in order to like do, like, you know, like do I care about more what people think, or do I care more about like what I think is fun? But if you think that game design is really, really fun and that's something that you want to pursue, yeah, go. I suggest taking the course. So yeah.
There you go.
There we go.
Thank you for that.
Next question.
Wait, is someone else gonna answer?
sorry.
Like, good. Yeah.
Oh wait. Oh, Chia. Oh wait. Oh. I know. I played one of your games before. Like whoever Chia is in the chat. Like like the itch.io.
That's me.
I played one of your games before. That's crazy. I don't know how.
That's so weird.
I remember seeing. I remember seeing your page. Oh man, that's crazy.
It's a
This is
small
scary.
world. We're all.
Jacob, what have you been doing?
Okay, we can end with this one last question. Thank you guys for all of your answers. You guys kind of mentioned the games that you started out with and that kind of influenced you, but there's this question: what games have been most influential to your practice now? If you want to take turns answering that.
I can start.
Legend.
The game that's most influential for me right now, I guess it's Cuphead actually. It was real cool seeing that old style of animation once again brought to the limelight. You know, traditional pen and paper. Even though they colored it digitally, it doesn't make a difference. It still feels like an old cartoon. What I like about it is that it brings an old art style back into the forefront. Now games or movies and TV shows actually you go towards more digital based animation, such as rigging 2D sprites and all that, and bringing seeing that an old art style such as the animation style that Cuphead used really inspired me to start animating myself, because not everyone has the software to do those fancy animations you see in video games nowadays. But everyone has access to pen and paper, and anyone can try and start animation just through that. Yeah, I'd say Cuphead.
I guess I can go. Like I mentioned this a while ago, but the game Celeste. The game's so good. I still play it to this day. I play
You're
it
just gonna
constantly.
keep gushing about
You're a
Celeste.
fanboy,
It's such
man.
a good game. Oh, I love
Jesus.
that game so much. Aside from that,
He's
maybe-
like this during class, by the way.
It is a
no,
good game.
no, that's a lie. Dude, Celeste is like it's so good. Like I don't know, I just love how it's designed, and it just everything about it just feels so deliberate. Like the depth of the movement, movement feels so good. Aside from that, maybe Kingdom Hearts, because I really love that game. The story is stupid. I just love how it feels. Yes, Kingdom Hearts. And Celeste. So I don't know. Basically, it was Celeste. Basically, just that. Right? That kind of just influenced me into taking this track to begin with. So like, I can't deny that it's the most influential thing. that like was most influential game for me personally. So yeah, let's continue. Okay, who wants to talk about their games?
I don't really have a game specifically, but you know on like Steam when you buy a game, like those anime games, and then like there's like an extra bundle where you can buy the art book. I always like I always like spend a little extra just to buy the art book because it's like it gives you like insight on how the game was made and how they came up with these characters. Like for example, like Blade Blue, like Blaze Blue,
Blaze Blue.
Yeah.
Japanese pronounces Blade Blue though, but like Blade like
come on, get it. No, I'm kidding.
Jesus. All right, but like games like those, also like not even just like even visual novel games like Necropara, but like those games have some really detailed art books that show how a character like it's very like there's a spectrum of how like detailed the art is. Like first they just show rough sketches, and then they show like the design sheets and like different poses, and then they have props, they have stage design, and then they have like full-on rendered like splash art, like illustrations. It's really cool looking at it, and that's sort of what I want to do. So yeah, art books have influenced me the most. Not a game specifically.
How about you?
Okay, so for me, I think that like Spelunky is like one of the games that I have like that I appreciate design wise, because Spelunky, it's like, you know, it's a roguelike. Yeah, I made a roguelike too. You can see the similarities lie there. But yeah, roguelike. It's a roguelike. It's a 2D platformer, and it's an arcade game. I really like arcade games because just like I like the fun game loops and how like, you know, some roguelikes don't get boring, and like, you know, it's been fun. And what's interesting about Spelunky's design for me is that it feels so just the feel for it, and also the fact that all the elements like interact with each other, because like in some games there's like limited sort of interactions between like what entities can interact with what, but in Spelunky like everything interacts with everything. So like if an arrow can kill you, then like it can like damage like just about any entity in the game. You know, explosions have like a very sort of just like predefined behavior. It's just like it's sandbox, but it's a roguelike also. And I just think that the design where everything because like sometimes with games with interactions they feel kind of limited, depends on the game, but like for me Spelunky is all about interactions, and because of the way it's programmed and the way that everything interacts with everything, like it creates these sort of interactions that you don't expect. And then also there's just a bunch of fun hidden little Easter eggs in like Spelunky too, and it's just a lot of fun. Like it doesn't take itself too seriously. I also see Rayman Legends in the chat also, and I think that the level design is also really good, and like it has a lot of heart. I like a lot of games that are charming and have a lot of heart. Like Stardew Valley, I also like Stardew Valley too. It's a very fun game, and it has a lot of things. I've also been into like a lot of deck building games recently, like Slay the Spire, Dicey Dungeons. Those have all been really fun. Puzzle games like Baba Is You. I was also a very big Undertale fan, as you can see with the 3D model Frisk. Like I like a lot of indie games. That's where my interest lies, because like yeah, although like yeah, with like AAA games, like I appreciate them too, and like there's a lot of work in intricacies and like the way that they make their systems and make their games in order to create this really big and realistic sort of simulation. But for me, like I get convinced and charmed so easily from like the simple things. And I think a lot of indie games, like for me, just have the heart that like some of like the AAA games are lacking, because with AAA games, they follow under a very sort of strict management and strict like vision, because there are going to be directors with like visions, right? And it's going to be all free flowy, and then like a lot of the members are like have like different positions and like what sort of tasks they're able to do, and like who manages who, and like the vision sometimes gets lost in there. There are a lot of like good AAA games out there that do retain the passion, but like for me, I think why indie games are so charming is because that the vision is so easily seen and like fully realized because of like the amount of people or like the size of the team, right? Because like with a smaller size team, it's more easy for people to understand, or like a game developer to understand, like, or like tell their other members like, oh, what their whole vision of the game is about. And yeah, that's why I am very inspired by indie games. I'm very inspired by simple concepts. I see Stephen's Sausage Roll in the chat. That's a really good game too. It's a very simple Sokopan game, and it's very hard, but it's very charming for something that like has like one interaction, but like it's so detailed and so well thought out. Yeah, I love making my life difficult too. But yeah, that's my take.
Was that everyone?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was our last question. Thank you so much, guys, for this amazing talk. Thank you, everyone who's still here and listening in. We'll be posting the recording after, and we'll be sharing the links and resources that were mentioned. Thank you for joining us again this Saturday night. Be sure to join the Develop Facebook group and check out Indie and the work that they have, and also follow our speakers, follow their art and games, which we'll also be sharing. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.